So how can we make an actor appear much taller without it being ridiculous? So Poseidon needs some standing. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another episode of the attempt to make some stage costumes for Epic. And today we're going to talk about Poseidon. He's the next in line in the series. Last time I did Aeolus, so now we're talking about Poseidon. Poseidon is one of the 12 Olympians, so one of the big gods in Greek mythology. But there are also a lot of other gods that are connected to the sea and earthquakes, because Poseidon, as you probably know, is the god of the sea and earthquakes and horses. So in a lot of other mythologies, like in Egyptian mythology, in the Slavic mythology, in the Nordic mythology, we have equivalents of the water gods, and some of them are Ler, Veles, we have Nun, we have Hapi, we have Apanapat, and also Varuna. All of the deities have some differences, but also a lot of similarities to Poseidon. Earthquakes and horses are one of the big similarities we see in a lot of the mythologies. So this seems to be a very archetypical power. In Epic we see Poseidon as one of the villains to Odysseus, but I would rather say he is one of the stricter teachers for him to develop character. So we see Poseidon in 3 songs. The first one is Ruthlessness, the second is Get in the Water, and the third is 600 Strike. As you know, on this channel we talk also a lot about character development on stage, and that the gods and the mortals sometimes have a character development that also has to be a visible representation in the costume, and sometimes we just don't have to do this. For Poseidon, I don't see too much of a character development that we have to change costumes a lot. We just have to work a little bit with stage props in the last song, so with 600 Strikes. But before we talk about stage magic, let's talk about the magic of animation and how the animators worked with him as an archetypical deity and how they portrayed him in their work. And that's a really big shout out to the animators. They did such an amazing job to put him to life, and I try to attempt just the real version of how we can portray him. But first let's have a look at some of the animatics. So I'm going to start with Ruthlessness, and there we compare 3 animators to each other and see what similarities they have and how they worked. The first one is Neal Illustrator, and I will link his video up there somewhere. So let's have a look. Basically, Poseidon is half naked in all of them. it's very interesting because they just put him half naked. And he is also portrayed in a lot of figures actually half naked, but so are most of the Greek gods. We see a collar on his neck. We see something like a wrap skirt actually. That is also more in the shape of water, what I like a lot. And we have some fish scales that are coming up of his waist. This is very nicely done. But for stage I wouldn't do this. In the next picture we see a little bit more of this skirt, and he also has something on the arm, some jewelry, and I like that a lot. And I also adapted this idea for the final version of that. So what I find interesting is how he is portrayed with power. So we see a power dynamic in size. He is just like, oh my god, I can't even put a number to this, like 4 times, 5 times, 6 times larger and bigger than the boat and the ship. So we see this power dynamic here represented in size. And this is a very nice representation. With real actors, difficult. Next one is Anniflamma. I also link the video up there. And here what I really love is the first impression of Poseidon is him in the form of a horse. And also this with a real actor is not really happening, but I like is that she puts the mythology and how he is portrayed and the stories and how he is also changing forms into this animatics, so we see this archetypical power of the horses, and I like that a lot. We see him in the next picture that he wears something like a chiton, so also more like a dress. It's floor length and it also has a train. So also here this could be a safety risk if this is just a floor length with a train also in the front, so we have him walking around, and this can be a safety hazard, so this is not very good to do on stage. We would have to have his feet so that he can kick the train a little bit forward, and I have my feelings about that regarding this on stage, but it is very in the time, so in the Greek mythology, how he's portrayed, so this is very nicely done. Next one is Gigi. I also link her video up there, and we see also him a little bit more with the tentacles. I don't know how to pronounce that in English. So this is also a very nice representation of the sea and the creatures of the sea that are also more dangerous and terrifying. And this is also very good connected to this. Also here he is half naked. In the next picture we see a little bit more. So also this is like a dress with these tentacles. We have his Triton. We have him really big. So also here the power dynamics is very clear, visualized. But yeah, let's talk about how to do this on stage. If we try to do these little tentacles onto a dress, it's more like a cosplay, or it's more like a costume, and we want to, as an audience, to feel the terror of this situation. And if we put this tentacles on the bottom of the skirt, it's less terrifying than the situation deserves. So I wouldn't recommend that. But I really like this in the animatic. So this is a great representation of his power, of the sea, of the creatures, and I really love this animatic. So now let's skip to the next song, which would be Get in the Water. As I already talked about before, as I saw Jay have some of his thoughts communicated over some of the shots, that the gods have this glowy element somewhere in on their body or in their costume, and so here in this animation we see this. It's more like it is like a blue light, and we have his skin covered in these lines, these water lines. They are very smooth, it's not very sharp, so I like that also a lot. But also here to see, it's also a skirt, it's not trousers. What I find also very interesting, because Poseidon is very masculine, and that he is represented with skirts, and I love that. This animation, by the way, is from Larita Miao. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it. It's not my intention, but I can't pronounce it. So also this video will be seen up there. So we see him also with the power dynamic of the size. He is way bigger than Odysseus on this little float, and he has like a real circle skirt going on there. Also half naked, and with his triton and long hair. I also like that. We see the crown, also very glowing. We see the lines. What I see here is we could do this with a crown, but I don't like this on stage. I would do it different, but I will show you later. So, okay, now let's skip to the next one. This is 600 strike, and here we would have also to do something on stage. This animation is also from Larita Miao, and we see how Odysseus tortures Poseidon. The costume is the same as it was in the last picture, but now what could we do to portray this terrifying situation to the stage? And here I wouldn't do a change of clothes, because it's not really happening. He is on stage, and changing on stage doesn't really make sense for Poseidon. So what I would work with is a lot of stage blood, and maybe also something that is attached with Velcro tape that maybe gets rid of, so that we see him how he gets tortured. So, but I would recommend just doing this with light and with stage blood, so that we really have him covered then in stage blood, because at this point I think we can all agree that this is not a show that would be shown to minors or that would have a age recommendation, so that maybe some children under 16 are not allowed, and this is an adult musical. Because of the violence, and also because of the very terrifying scene with Hold Them Down. So I wouldn't recommend doing a musical that is also including having children as an audience. But how can we now put him to life on stage? The power dynamic should be there like they are in the animatics. So how can we make an actor appear much taller without it being ridiculous? So what we see is that we have shoulder flaps, I don't know how they are called in English, so that his shoulders are a little bit bigger than they usually are. I did change the color because there are some things that I wanted to do as a representation. The first one is the triton, so that the triton is not only as a stage prop, so we see the 3 spikes of the triton also in the clothing. And I did this with with these shoulder flaps, and to have these really standing, I'll show you later how I did it. Then I wanted to have the horses included also in the costume, and what I found is a closure with 2 horses in the front. And I'm really excited to show you this in the next video, because there are going to be a series for the Poseidon costume. The armor that I did will be in the first part, and then I will do a female Poseidon, so a dress that is also more a Poseidon dress. But the armor is the same that I would also do for a stage representation of Poseidon. So Yes. Then I wanted to have fish scales and these glowing elements. How do we do this? The answer, Organza. I love this. And this is also the color of the fish scales that I used. So we have the glowing element with Organza on the cloak. And we have shoulder flaps that are really standing up. So Poseidon needs some standing. How do we do this? And because I usually like to work just with natural materials, I will really show you how I did that. But before, all of the armor, I changed a little bit of this design, but all of the armor is heavily embroidered with beads. So this glowing element will be also shown with lines across the armor. And if you have a spot on light on this, it will shine. And yeah, I did that. And I really liked how this is already showing up, because I'm like 3/4 ready with the armor and with the cloak. So next week you will going to see that. So how can we get Poseidon a little bit of standing on the shoulders? What I did was to add this kind of shapes to the armor. And this includes different layers. The outer layer is a linen, and my dogs put a little bit of hair to it, but this is a very dark blue, what I like a lot. And now how to stiffen these fabrics, I used horsehair canvas or tailless canvas. This is usually used to put something in position and that it stays there. In this case, I put this onto a thick muslin, so this is the second layer, and this already did have a very, very nice stand. But if I now want to put a lot of beads, and I only use glass beads that are very high quality, so this also means that they are very heavy. So this needed a little bit more. So what I added next is a third layer of muslin. You can also use coutil, that is also a very tightly woven fabric, and I put boning into it. So I can't do this right now, I picked everything apart so you can see it, but here are boning channels so that everything stays how I wanted it to stay. And this is then sewn onto the shoulder seam, and this is very, there is nothing going down. This is very stable, so we can use definitely some weight on that. I used trim also for the edges on the final product, and I love this very much. So that's it with the armor. Now let's go a little bit into the rest of the costume. The singer of Poseidon, Stephen Rodriguez, is a rock singer. So what I imagined also was a trousers that are more like these motorcycle riders, that is a little bit more like a rocker. So I added the trousers that he is more like a rocker. I would do this in like a denim fabric, and the linen I would just do for the armor. And we could also add a vest or a t-shirt that is worn below the armor. But what I wanted also was to have this silhouette. This is very, very powerful, very tall, very big, very impressive and terrifying. And I also wanted to have these little cuffs that are then tied with a lace. This is the outfit that I would do for Poseidon on stage, so that it's not getting too much, but also not getting too less. So with a lot of organza, and this is more like this color, and a lot of beads and a lot of handcrafted work, because the armor is completely hand sewn. So this is also very stable and I love that. Okay, so that's it with Poseidon. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and the next ones will be about the project that I did. So I will show you the complete design of the armor in the next video. Until then, I wish you a very nice time, and so feel free to subscribe and click on the bell if you want to be notified by the next video. And yes, leave a comment how you like it, what you would change, and yeah, then see you next time.